Good evening. Today is Monday, January 26th, and this is the Kingsburg Finance Committee's regular meeting. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and we will start with public comment. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak on something that is not listed on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, I will return to our regular calendar. And our first item is approval of the minutes for the October 6, 2025 regular meeting. Can I get a motion?
Move approval. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 2 is the 2026-27 budget schedule consideration presentation by member Alma Collado.
Hi, Chairman and Finance Committee. This agenda item is the proposed 2026-2027 budget schedule. Annually, the council adopts the budget schedule to identify the dates for the development of the city's operating and capital budget. The staff is asking for any input and recommendation from the Finance Committee to have the council adopt the schedule at their February 4th regular meeting. And the schedule is attached. So the recommendation action is to review the proposed schedule and recommend the council formally to adopt the 26-27 budget schedule.
Very good. Committee discussion? Seeing none, I will take a motion.
Motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving to item number 3, authorize auditing services to Bryant L. Jolly CPA for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2026, 27 and 28. Presentation by member Alma Collado.
In accordance with the city charter, the city is required to solicit new auditors every 5 years. And staff has identified Bryant Jolly as the most qualified firm for the upcoming city's audit based on their firm's background, experience, and scope of services, with the option of auditing the city's financial statement for 3 consecutive years. Their respective fees are listed as follows. For the financial statements, the fees will not exceed $50,000 per fiscal year and starting in 2026. And $51,000 for 2027, $52,000 for 2028. For the State Controller's Office, annual city's transaction report will be $5,000 per fiscal year. The preparation of the annual street report will be $2,500 per fiscal year. The preparation of the special district financial transaction report will be $1,000 per year. And if the single audit is required, will be additional fees from $6,000 to $8,000. And they also will assist us with grant reconciliation and the preparation of the single audit and the preparation of the ACFR that will be billed in hourly rates. Staff recommends that the Finance Committee approve the agreement for auditing services to Bryant Jolly CPA firm. The firm has extensive experience providing services to local governments and is familiar with the city financial operations. I believe they were providing auditing services in 2011. And just for reference, the cost of the auditing services per fiscal year in 2024 was $80,695, which is higher than what they're proposing on the fees. So our recommendation, action for tonight is to review the engagement letter and recommend necessary agreement with Bryant Jolly CPA firm to City Council.
Very good.
And I'm open for any questions.
Thank you. Okay, committee discussion. Okay, couple quick questions. You said that they did our auditing services in 2011.
Yes, And they were our auditors prior to Price Page.
Okay.
And I think currently they have few cities. They're doing Fowler, Sanger, Coalinga, Ridley, Porlier, Orange Cove, Kerman, around cities around us. And I think it's a good procedure to change auditors
Mhm.
after most cities do 5 years, and we've been with Price Page since 2013 or 11.
Yeah. We've gone through this a couple times before and haven't had other people bid on it. Actually,
Mhm.
Brian Jolly is kind of the other firm that we've gone through, and at different times they've had too much business, and so we've extended Price Page because of lack of other options. But we are required every 5 years as part of the charter, as Alma
Mhm.
mentioned, to go out. And so this time we're doing the same thing, and Bryant Jolly this time responded. And so I reached out to Reedley. Selma has them as well, and they've all been pleased with the services they provide. So that's the reason we're making this recommendation this evening.
Oh, very good. I think it's a good idea to change our auditing firm periodically. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, so any other discussion, questions? Okay, so the recommended action. Oh, sorry, I'll open this up for public comments. Seeing none, I will close public comments. The recommended action on this item is to enter into an agreement with Brian L. Jolly for the auditing services.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 4, the City Hall EOC design update and California Infrastructure and Economic Development Bank discussion. Presentation by member Alexander Henderson.
I'm actually going to kick this over to Christina to handle this one. So
Good evening, Chairperson Smith and Mayor Smith and the committee. I'm presenting on the City Hall Emergency Operations and iBank staff report. This item has come before the Finance Committee and the City Council in the past. And so this is more of an update and next steps. We hired a local architecture, engineering, and interior design firm and project management firm, Integrated Designs by Soman, to complete an assessment and conceptual design for a new City Hall Emergency Operations Center. The potential City Hall EOC project would consist of a City Council chamber, office and workspaces for staff, restrooms, conference rooms, and supporting facilities, areas for the facilities. It would also include build out of the area in which we had the design project. Phase 1 of the project includes site plans, floor plans, elevations, renderings, and conceptual cost estimates for the new facility. We have included a draft of the conceptual design as an attachment for the committee's review. Phase 2 of the project would include architectural and engineering services, including construction documents, plan approval, and bidding. We have included a proposal from Integrated Designs for Phase 2 of the project, and we also have Curtis here to give an overview of the project as well. Some of the financing information that would kind of coincide with our next steps if we were to proceed with the project involves securing financing. So Alex and I held a meeting with staff from iBank, which is the California Infrastructure and Economic Development Bank, several months back to discuss what financing for the project would look like. And they basically gave us an overview of a program called the Infrastructure State Revolving Fund Program. This would be the first time the city of Kingsburg would be applying for an iBank infrastructure loan. The financing could provide funds necessary to complete the City Hall EOC project, including but not limited to the design, engineering, architecture, construction, landscaping, permitting, construction management, administration, and general project development. The total estimated cost at this stage of the design is approximately 11.2 million. That doesn't include any solar build out, and that's assuming a full build out of the parking lot and some of the surrounding site. So there are opportunities to have some cost savings, but that's kind of a general picture of where we are at now. And the city has also secured a federal earmark funding for the EOC City Hall through the Ag FDA bill sponsored by Congressman Costa in the amount of $1 million. There is a list. I'm not going to read through everything that we need to provide, but that is what we would need to submit preliminary application documents so that their board could determine whether or not they would provide financing for our project. It is a pretty hefty lift, but they're very thorough and they've been very helpful with staff. So we're confident that we can put together everything that they're asking for, should that be the direction that we go. The iBank has a credit risk committee for review that typically takes about 2 to 3 months. So there's several months built into that financing process. And I'd be happy to answer any follow-up questions regarding iBank if you would like more details about that. I have provided some information about them. The ISRF bonds, they are AAA rated. Their costs and therefore their costs tend to be lower. They pass those savings on to the borrowers, which would be cities, counties, municipalities, etc. The interest rate is based on the Rutgers and models, including median housing income, unemployment rate, rating of the fund, etc. Final interest rates are approved by the iBank board when the loan is presented to their board. We did discuss with their staff that there are opportunities to get those interest rates lowered, depending on like sustainability and other financing options. That also includes a 1% origination fee that the city can either pay or it can be included in the loan amount. And the term is similar to a house loan. It could be up to a 30-year term on the loan, as long as the useful life of the project is 30 years or more, which of course we would anticipate that. If a loan repayment source is the general fund, we could do a lease leaseback structure, and the city can use the project building itself or a different unencumbered building in order to put up capital for it. And then we've also included the criteria for you. So that is a very short summary of the program. The recommended action that we are seeking tonight is just general input and direction from the Finance Committee regarding the current City Hall EOC design, any direction regarding gathering those documents to apply or pre-apply for the iBank program. And then, of course, offering the chance to ask any questions or get any other answers.
So for today, all we're trying to do is give direction as far as whether or not we're going to move forward with the documents, right? This isn't us having a conversation about whether or not we like the white building or the red building. It's none of that, right? All we're doing is specifically saying, should we move forward with giving staff direction to gather all the documents? Is that
Yeah,
accurate?
correct.
I mean, if you want to give us feedback or have the public give feedback on the design right now, I mean, I think we probably will have more formal opportunity for that and more public input. But We didn't want to get too far with iBank and going down that road before having a conversation here. And some of the documents that they require at iBank are kind of timely now because Mr. Flynn has helped, kind of basically formalize the kind of the final cost estimates for what we think, at least right now, barring obviously some changes that could occur, but they kind of want to see, where we're at with our plan, iBank does, and what the site plan looks like. And so now it's kind of, a cost estimate. So now that we have all that information, we're kind of at that point where we can start pulling all those things together. And there'll be some significant input from finance with regards to what they're asking for to determine what the interest rate would be and all of that. So we kind of wanted to just make sure that before we got too far with it, that, you guys didn't see the 11.2 and, push pause on everything all together. So that's kind of where we're at tonight.
Does staff have the capacity to get this done right now?
Yeah, it'll take some time. We'll put it together, but it'll be a shared project that, the folks, as Christina mentioned, have been pretty good at the state and have basically just said, once you get it, start submitting it and they'll start working on it. And so we'll have to build that out. So.
That answers the questions I have. I just think it's the next step. I mean, if we're gonna look at it, this is what we need to do. We can't really present it to council without giving them this information. Because if that 11.2 is really going to be 14, there's only one way for us to really know that, and that's to get started without an interest rate or anything else. So I don't really see the point in having the conversation about the building until we know whether or not we can afford it. It feels like house shopping without knowing what your budget is. So I'd like to get the financing secured and then go from there. That's all I have.
To clarify, would you like us to bring that back to the finance committee once we have more information from iBank?
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever the whole board goes with, of course, but I would say that my personal preference is let's just move forward with getting all of our borrowing cost scenarios. And then, then it'll be a lot bigger conversation once we have those numbers.
Is there any public comment on this item?
Oh, okay. Never had to do that before. Chris Peterson, resident. I understand the financing is not an overnight thing. It takes time to do paperwork, et cetera. But I have sort of bigger questions in that how is possibly building a city hall away from downtown, away from the core of the city, enhancing the Kingsburg experience, number one. And yes, get a loan, but how is the city going to pay for this or pay back the loan when you can't fix the alleys and the potholes that need to be fixed in town? The big discussion with that 88 subdivision over by the Peach Pit, 6th Avenue Drive, half of it's in parts of it, half of it's city and half of it's county. And then as you drive towards the cemetery, it becomes all county, which is not the city's responsibility. But the part from, I guess, Kern to Melhurt, that needs to be fixed. That needs to be widened, and you can't do that. So I'm just really curious how responsible it is to be spending all this money when you can't take care of the core things. The rampant excessive growth of housing that has happened in all the last few years, and there's no infrastructure to support it because it seems to be there's no money for that either. I just wonder how responsible that is and how it's going to enhance the Kingsburg experience by having a city hall out there by the Freeway 99. How it's going to help our rather large elderly population find its way to City Hall when some of the elderly, they have problems just getting downtown. And that would be something new and have to find their way around. And I've heard that the city hall's too small, et cetera. But, when I come in at random times, I see a lot of people doing a whole lot of nothing when I walk in, laughing. It's like, maybe there's just too many employees based on when I come in at random times on random days. And then the other thing to think about, the fact that this project out by the 99 would not enhance the Kingsburg experience by any stretch of the mean. The design, while I know that the proposed designs that you're not going to talk about yet, you've stolen from various buildings in Sweden, many of which I've actually been in. But it doesn't even fit with the Skånska design that we have in the downtown area for the Swedish experience. And then also there's this money, you're talking about money and loan, but yet you want to ask the taxpayers for more money with Measure E. So these are maybe somewhat rhetorical questions, or maybe just food for thought, because I know in public comments you can't comment. I'm doing the commenting. So, I don't think very many people in town would be very happy with a project, a city hall that's not in the downtown area. I'm not saying it has to be on Draper Street, but I'm saying the greater downtown area. I don't think too many people would be happy with that. Some won't care, we know that, but those that don't care don't participate and do anything anyway. But there's going to be a lot of people that are not going to find this project to be in the best interest of enhancing the Kingsburg experience. Can I turn it off?
Hey, Chris, quick question for you. I mean, I agree. I'd love to keep City Hall downtown. Do you have any suggestions? I mean, the one problem we have is the cost to buy land and then develop it here in the downtown even increases what we're looking at spending, quite a bit more than that. I mean, do you think is that palatable to you if we keep it in the downtown, or?
I said the downtown area. I don't,
Mhm.
I'm not talking about Draper Street per se, but the downtown area, which is, I don't know, like from the street behind the police department to the street by Walgreens, and then, railroad tracks to Baptist Church. I should know the names of the streets, but you go up in town and you know where things are. You don't have to know the names of the street.
But all of those, there's nothing,
Well,
there's nothing.
Well, maybe, you need to become chummy with some of the property owners and they can name you as a beneficiary, on their property.
I didn't catch the last part of what you said. I was trying to write that down. What were
I'm
you saying?
sorry, what?
To do what? What was the suggestion?
Chummy up and become a beneficiary to some of these property owners that
Okay.
have not blank, empty lots in town. And I don't know, honestly, I've heard, but I don't know for a fact who owns what. So it's hard for me to comment more because I don't know. And I mean, yeah, I can find out, and that's on my list of things to do, but it didn't happen before today. So, I understand that, but it just would be a travesty to have City Hall out there. Yeah, have a maintenance office out there, or something like an annex, something that people aren't visiting as part of their city. But I've been in other cities where you think the core of the city is this, and then City Hall's someplace else. And I'm being general because it's just depends on where you're at. And if it seems to me, based on my discussions with people and my observations, that people want to keep Kingsburg small. That's part of the reason why they don't want the excessive growth of housing to continue as it has in the previous years, despite the 3% limit. It's a perception. And yeah, that you were always going to have businesses off of Conejo /201 /Sierra Street /Avenue 400 because the freeway's there. I mean, that's always, it's access. But when you talk about the core downtown, that quaintness that people come here from our surrounding towns to shop, have lunch. There are people who come here to go on Wednesdays because of the children's time at the library. They have libraries in their own town. I'm talking about your I'm talking areas, but they come here because it's so nice and fun and enjoyable. And then they can walk up and down Main Street with the baby stroller and stop and have a fika or maybe lunch or buy a book at a store. And these are people that are coming here several times a month just for that experience. And that's part of the quaintness. I'm not saying that the city hall itself is quaint, but it's the whole atmosphere of the downtown area. So if that sort of,
No, thank you.
yeah.
Okay, I will close public comment on this item. Is there any other committee discussion?
Madam Chair, if I may, just so you're aware, Chris, I mean, we have had conversations with pretty much every property owner that has vacant property in the area that you're describing. And either they haven't been willing to sell or the price that they're asking for is, we think is higher than what the market would support. So I think to that point, I think that's a little bit to Chairman Smith's question is, would it be more palatable to spend more on a property in the downtown because the price is only going to go up from here, right? So if you take this building per se and just move it from where it's at and put it on a vacant piece of property in the downtown, you can do that potentially, but then you're adding the price of purchasing that lot unless we were, as you suggested, so lucky to have it given to us. It's actually what happened with this piece of property is it was given to us in a development agreement with Mr. Matoyan a couple of years ago. So I think that's been the challenge of this group. I think we appreciate what the downtown provides as well. And, it's hard for us. We don't want folks to think that we're abandoning it. I think there's potential that if we do go to another spot, and then maybe this space becomes open for some of those other things that you've talked about as well to support what people like in the downtown. So there's potential benefit there as well.
Does the city own, well, not the city, the original city hall, was that owned by the city?
Yeah, so the city owns the bank. So essentially that building, and then correct, as well as the planning department next door.
Okay. I do agree with committee member Brandon Purcell that we should move forward and look at it, and bring it to council to decide. So I agree. I don't have issues with taking that step and moving forward and getting the information together just so we have a better idea and we can make an educated determination. So
Thank you.
so you're just looking for direction. Do you have that?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. So then we'll move on to item number 5, and that's street sweeping services discussion presentation by member Alexander Henderson.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the committee. In 2016, the city entered into a 5-year contract with Central Valley Sweeping for street sweeping services. And then in 2021, that contract was extended for an additional 5 years. And that 5-year extension included a 0% price increase to the existing rates for the full term of the contract. That extension is due to expire at the end of February of 2026. And as such, city staff has released an RFQ from qualified firms, soliciting qualified firms to ensure competitive pricing while still delivering necessary services. Other than the standard street sweeping, we are seeking pricing as well for the following: alley sweeps 2 times a year on paved alleys only, leaf cleanup during the fall, parking lot and public spaces, special event sweeps for the downtown, including for the car show, Swedish Festival, and Santa Lucia Parade, collection and disposal of street sweeping refuse, and fixed price for emergency cleanups. Our current service is residential biweekly with the downtown area completed weekly. Recently, Mid-Valley Disposal, the city's provider of garbage, recycling, and green waste collection, has begun providing sweeping services, and we anticipate that they will also provide a cost estimate for these services. For context, fiscal year 26 has a budget of $306,000 for sweeping services. This item tonight is informational, just to let the committee know where we're at within the process, and we will provide recommendations once proposals are received. Of course, the committee can also provide input as desired, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that you may have. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, any committee discussion? Okay, is there any public comment on this item? Okay. Well, I for one like the leaf removal option. So no, I think it's great that we're gonna go out and get bids on this. So very good. Thank you. Okay. Then that is all for our regular calendar. Is there any other business tonight? Seeing none, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you for joining us.